Hello everybody, welcome to the channel. If you've been watching the other videos, you know we're just starting to build up the engine for the T25 set behind me. In the last video, when I was cleaning the block off, I said I was going to take this cylinder head over to a company locally and they were going to do some kind of fancy shot blasting on it, and it was all going to come up really well and it'd be fantastic. Well, I gave them a call today to see if I could run it around, and I also asked them how much it was going to cost, and they wanted nearly £300 to do it. So I've no intention of doing that. That's more than the price of a brand new head, just the casting. So what we're going to do instead, I'm going to take it all apart now, and I'm going to show you a trick to get everything up nice and clean. Use a degreasing agent that's better than anything you're going to buy at an auto parts store, and you know, we'll get it all back together again hopefully if there's nothing wrong, and yeah, that should do us. So I'm going to bring the camera in now so you can see on top. I'm going to go through the tools we're going to use, and we'll get going with it. Okay, so we're about to start. You can't see my face at the minute, so be thankful for that, but I've done that so I can get the camera in close enough so that you can see the thing coming to pieces. So what have we got in front of us now? We've got the main cylinder head casting, we've got the cam through the middle, and this is the front of it on this side, obviously this is the rear, and you can see the cam caps. These are all that hold the cam in when it's in this state. Obviously we've got a pulley on and a belt on that's going to keep a hold of it. But we're going to take these off first. I have already cracked them because they can be quite tight. These have to be torqued to a specific setting. I'm going to rip them all off quickly, and it's imperative when you do this that you keep them in the correct order. They are ordered, they have to go in back where they came from. So all I'm going to do is just put them on the table next to me, and I'm going to just keep them where they came from. The nuts don't matter, they can go anywhere, but the caps must go back where they came from. Now you can stamp them if you like, but I know I'm going to be putting these back pretty soon, so shouldn't be a huge deal. There's a lot of things in the cylinder head that must go back where they came from. In particular, what we're about to expose. When the cam's out, you'll be able to see the top of the valves, and what happens is when the cam is run in, it will wear itself, it'll bed itself into the cam caps. Now if you're going to use the same cam again, you must put the caps back where they came from. For the same reason, they're just going to wear themselves in, and they've got to go back, go back in the same place. Now the reason for that is quite simple. If it's worn in one place and then you put it back in another, it's going to wear in again, and if it does that, it's going to cause excessive wear. So you'll drive it around for a little while and it'll start getting a bit grumbly in the top. You have to redo the clearances, and you don't want that. So there we go, that was the last valve. One at the end's always a pain, so what I'm going to do, that's the one out the middle. I thought this one had released, it hadn't, so I'll just pull it back down a bit. Be very careful with the cam, be delicate with it, don't try yanking it or forcing it. If you do need to put a cam cover back on, a cap back on again just to make it release, then do it. Don't start levering things because the cams are incredibly brittle. If you drop it on the floor it'll just smash. There we go, pull that back down again. Well, let go. The front one obviously has a seal in it, and this one doesn't want to play the game. I thought that would come undone and it hasn't. To get something in there, I'm using the back of this spanner, I can just, there we go. It just wanted a pop. So I'm going to pull this one out too, and that's the camel. They can be a bit of a fiddle sometimes. This is only a 4-cylinder engine. You want to try it to a 12-cylinder engine, they can be a real pain. So once again, keep them in the correct order. There's 5 in total, and that's the front one off. That one actually has the seal housing in there as well. Okie doke, that's all good. So that should now render it where we can lift the cam straight out. While I'm in here doing this, I'm just going to take a look around the cam to see if it's picked up anywhere, to see if we can see any wear on it in any places. And to be fair, this cam is about as good as new. I can still see the grind marks in it, even over the top of the lobe. It does the lifting on this piece just here, and you can still see the grind marks all the way around it. I don't know how many miles this engine had actually done, but it can't have done a lot. It really can't, because everything seems to be really, really, wear free. So that's fine. I'm going to put the cam over here carefully. Just really be careful with the cam. You don't want to be dropping it. That's now exposed. This is basically the tops of the valves. This is what's called an overhead cam engine. So the cam sits over the top of the valves and it pushes down. So all we've got to do, these are the imperative bits. We have to keep these exactly where they came from. And somewhere I put a pair of pliers for just pulling them out with. Or not, as the case may be. So let's just try and get a few. There we go. Come on. No, it's not going to do it. Oh, there we go. Right. That's a cam cup. You see in there, it's got a bit of hydraulic tappet in there. That's to take up the clearance. I think that's hydraulic tappet. It'll come out. Probably not. No, it's stuck in. I'd have to get the pliers in there. But if you actually do that, it squeezes. So hydraulic tappets. Very nice. So I've written on the table over here, probably out of shot, 1, 2, 3, 4, inlet exhaust, inlet exhaust. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in the relevant spot, so when I put it all back together again later, it just goes back where it came from. There we go. And I'm also looking on the top for wear, looking for any kind of dishing in the top where the cam's been running. They actually do spin around in circles when they're running. They move a little bit. They sort of do that. There's some. If you look on YouTube, there's some great videos of people filming engines running at really high RPMs, so you can see the springs moving and stuff. Fantastic. Well worth a watch. Right, I've got to grab a pair of pliers because this won't come to pieces. Okay. Oh, excuse my head. Right, so all I'm doing is using a pair of snipe nose pliers and just pull like that. They're not in very hard, it's just the oil creating a bit of a vacuum. That one's jacked up. Oh yeah. Okay. Underneath these, I'm just exposing, come on, don't do that. Just exposing the top of the valve, so there we go, that's all good too. And I think I've just spotted a problem with my tooling. I don't think that my valve compressor is going to go down that narrow hole. But there is a trick, it's a little bit rough, I may have to do it. This head's only coming to pieces out of interest. I do have another one on the original engine. So if anything happened to it, if it got a failure or anything like that, it's not really a problem. I'll just use the other one. Okay, everything looks good so far though. Looks great. And that looks like all of the tappets out. Fantastic. Okay, so no problems yet, that all looks good. You can see as soon as I've taken it all apart, we've got a load more black filthy engine oil everywhere. Had I put a bit of forethought into it, I would have put some gloves on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and get the valves out. What you can do, you can get a proper tool for this, a valve spring compressor. I'm looking at that already and I can tell you that mine, the end of it is too big to go down there, it's massive. I've used it on big diesel engines mostly and stuff like that, it won't go in that hole. So what you can do, it's a little bit of heath, I'll show you it on one valve. You get a G-cramp, or those pump ones, and put a deep drive socket over the top. As long as it's holding the valve underneath, it pretty much does the same thing as the valve spring compressor. So I'm going to go and get that set up now and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. Everything I just said about using a socket didn't work. I tried my big valve compressor, that's too big to fit like I said. I tried the small one I have, which will fit down the hole, but it hasn't got the grunt to pull the valve spring down. As you can see, I don't know if you can see on the camera, I took a couple out already. I ended up going to the workshop, getting the lathe and the milling machine going, and I made myself this. It's basically, what you do with it, it looks a bit like an injector socket, you know, it's got the side cut out. What it actually does, I've just taken a few valves with it, I'll put a separate video up on making it, kind of. What you do, I can't believe how well it works. It actually works better than a valve spring compressor. You slot the tool on top of the valve, like that. Then you get your G-cramp. Slot this down. Make sure the G-clamp's on the square on the end of the valve. And we just make sure everything's lined up, which it is. That's great. I'll stand the head back up. Turn this so I can get to it when it's compressed. Wind it down. This is now compressing the valve. It's, the collets are now becoming exposed. It's releasing. I'm sure there are a million videos of people doing that, so I won't bother going too much in depth with it. I use the screwdriver through the hole in the side, take the collets off, which is always a fiddle. Come on. Poke. Poke. The oil gets behind it, and every time you push it, there we go. No. It just runs around the top of the valve. There we go, that's off. And then unwind it. Simple as that. That is actually a lot easier. It's certainly safe. You can move it around. It's got no chance of jumping. It can't do. And the other thing, because it's like this and you're unwinding it, it's a lot better than those over centre ones because it doesn't suddenly go snap and the collets don't go flying. You can actually keep an eye on it. So we just unwind this. Plenty of clearance. Need a little bit more. No. That was probably a little bit too much. Do that, drop the collets on the floor like I said you shouldn't do, and put those where they should go. Perfect. Snap those pliers again, and grab your valve springs out. How easy is that? So they're a double valve spring. I was reading up a bit, I've got the manual for this series of engines. I just googled it and found it. This particular engine is double valve sprung, the one that's in the van at the moment. I don't think that one is, if I'm right. But with that done, you just pull the valve out. Simple as that. Again, these have to go back where they came from. Even though it's all been cleaned up and all the rest of it, everything's bed into this position. I'm not using new valves, so everything has to go back from whence it came, otherwise it will not be bed in again. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll turn the camera off for a second. I'm going to whip the rest of them out. You don't need to see me do that. There's actually, at the bottom of that hole there, I've got to fish all those out. You have the collet retainer on the top of the valve, so the valve pokes up through here. Why am I using my fingers when I can just show you? Like that. And then the collets taper in there like that and hold on. It's actually got a little base plate that it sits on to stop it wearing the aluminium in the head. I've got to take those out as well, but I'll do those all in one go. They just fall out, but at the moment the valve stem oil seal is in the way. So I'll take that out. I'll do all those in one hit. There we go. I'm actually wearing gloves this time as well. So I'm going to turn off the camera for a second, I'm going to whip the rest of the valves out, and then I'm going to show you how to clean the head using a product that everybody's got lying around the house, which will bring it up nicely. And it doesn't cost a fortune, it works way better than gunk or anything like that. So it's back in the Well, that's all the valves out. So now it's ready to be cleaned. The only thing that's actually left in the cylinder head, and I'm going to struggle with this, I'll tell you now, not least of which I'm putting gloves on back, because that's going to make life difficult. When I took the engine apart, what I should have done, and I didn't, was crack the fuel injectors. I thought they'd just be a standard like a 27mm or whatever they are, fuel injector. They're not. They've actually got a 15mm flat side, it's a 15mm open-ended spanner fits them. So 15mm spanner, they just put on and don't undo because they're stuck. What I'm actually going to have to do with that, I think, I may even have to warm them up. I don't even want the injectors, but you can't get a socket on, which is a pain because I'm going to struggle with that, I'll be honest. I think what I'm going to have to do is put it between two blocks of wood in a vise, pin it down so I can, I can't get any leverage because whenever I do that, the head wants to move. But I'll get over it, we'll sort it. But for right now, to finish the video off, we said it obviously now needs cleaning. We're not going to have the £350 worth of shot blasting done. So instead of going to Halfords, AutoZone, anything like that and spending an absolute fortune on things that don't work, all you've got to do, because it works for things that are greasy as well, but we're going to be pressure washing it and cover it in oven cleaner. It's brilliant for getting oil off of engines and getting all the dirt out. It's literally meant for dissolving things, so it works great for that. I don't know why they don't sell it as engine degreaser. The only thing I'd be careful with, if you were going around bores or anything like that on engines, I'd be careful with it. But in here, there's nothing really you can damage. Don't get it all over the cam journals, just in case it does want to etch a little bit. I don't think it will do. I don't think it's that strong, but just to be prudent. But yeah, a couple of quid's worth of oven cleaner will get this thing looking like brand new. So I'm going to put it all over it. I'm going to clean it now, and I'll bring the camera in so you can see what the head looks like now. It's bare. And the next video, I guess, will be putting it back together again. I'm not going to do that in this one. This video will be getting long right now, so yeah, I'll get on with that. Okay, that's all done. Used the oven cleaner on it, left it for 10-15 minutes, pressure washed it all off, and yeah, it came up really nicely. I'll bring the camera in now so you can see it in pieces. But on the whole, it's clean enough. It's not as nice if it had been soda blasted or whatever, but at the end of the day, it is only an old diesel engine for the van. As long as it's absolutely clean, no debris in it, it'll be just fine. So I'll bring it in now so you can see in the top, and I think that's going to do us for this video. Well, there you are. You can see everything all in pieces now. It's nice and clean in there. There's no oil debris left in there. I've taken out the valve guide oil seals too. They just pull out with a pair of pliers. And that's ready now to be rebuilt. I haven't actually got the parts, but we'll rebuild that when I get it all through the post. Well, look in the exhaust ports where it was really bad before. To be honest, it was they were really closed in because it was there was so much carbon in there. I don't know if I can zoom in that close. Yeah, it looks like I can. There's a little bit of it's just black staining. There's no actual carbon left, so that is going to go together great. And well, I guess that's the end of it. So subscribe if you haven't already. There'll be more videos obviously for putting this thing back together again. And thanks for watching.